Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be using my Tineco Floor 1 S3 vacuum mop for the first time, and I'm going to be taking you through the pros and cons of it and if it's worth the money. So here is the Tineco vacuum cleaner. You can see here we've got the dirty water tank, which you just push down and pull out. Clean water tank, which I will fill up with some water in a moment. You get two brush rollers, one spare, one's already in there. And it comes with this charging base, and you can store the extra cleaning tools there. This is a cleaning tool as well for inside the machine. Also a spare filter. There's already one in the dirty water tank there. And it all sits on this charging base, which just stays plugged in. So this is the screen that shows all the information you need. So 100 shows it's at 100% charge, and that of course decreases as you use the machine. It's got various other things that light up to tell you if the dirty water tank is full or clean water tank needs to be filled up, if the self-cleaning mode needs to be activated. And you can also probably just see here where it's got auto, it's got the option to switch between auto or max mode. So auto will automatically detect what's best for the level of dirtiness of the floor, and max mode is of course just max power, so that's best used if your floor's particularly dirty. As you're using it as well, which I'll show you a bit later, around the outside lights up with blue or red. So blue to indicate it's fairly clean, and when it goes red, that shows you're going over a dirty area, so you might want to do a few passes over that particular area. So here I'm just filling the clean water tank up to the max line with fairly hot tap water. So it's recommended a max of 60 degrees C to fill with water. Now I didn't actually have any cleaning solution because the recommended cleaning solution was out of stock when I purchased this machine. So it was hot water only that I was using, but I honestly found that that worked really, really well. So you can probably see the mopping function as I move the vacuum back and forth. So one thing that I did really like about this vacuum is that the floor does dry really quickly, which when you mop with a traditional mop, I often find that it takes quite a while to dry it, but this one was dry within probably 1 to 2 minutes max, which is fantastic because I don't have to worry about stepping back over wet floors. You can also see I'm using it on tile here, and I can say that on both tile and the floorboards it didn't leave any streaks. While it does look probably a little bit messy in the sort of wet form as I mop over it, it did actually dry completely streak free. Now, one thing that I knew was going to be a bit of an issue, and you can see here, is that I wasn't actually able to get fully under certain pieces of furniture like this buffet unit. So because of the dirty water tank and clean water tank, you can only bend the machine to a certain angle, after which the actual base of the vacuum pops up, and there's the potential for water to start leaking as well. So I wasn't actually able to get far under things. So if you do have a lot of furniture that you do want to mop under, then that's probably a good consideration to keep in mind, because you're not able to easily get under those pieces of furniture. So another thing you can probably see here is the light around the outside. It's half blue and red, and you can see it slowly decreases and goes back to being completely blue as I go over the area, so that's showing that it's getting cleaner each time. So I had to stop vacuuming here because the dirty water tank was full. So you can see here I'm just easily pulling that apart. All the pieces come out, and this sort of white strainer part on top catches majority of the debris. So things like dog fur and dirt and that kind of thing. So I'm just pulling all that out, and you can see just how dirty the water is there. And I had actually only mopped only a day prior to doing this, so it shows just how much it actually picks up back into the machine. So I also want to show you a few before and afters of when I vacuumed a second time when there was quite a bit of dog fur and dirt on the ground. So you can see here there's a fair bit of dog fur and other dust and debris. As you can see, it does a really good job of picking up all that fur and dirt while still mopping, and doesn't sort of push the fur or dirt around. It actually sucks it up. So I'm just going to show you a couple more examples of different streaks and marks on the floor and other areas that were quite dirty as well. So here I want to show you how exactly the vacuum mop goes about getting fur or dust and debris up from right against the edge of the floorboards and the baseboards. So as you can see on the first pass, it did actually do a really good job of picking everything up. It's definitely not something that's going to get right into the corners because the brush roller head doesn't go all the way to the edge, but it did actually do a really good job. See here that there was actually a bit of fur and dirt that was sort of caked onto the floor. So you can see I'm just going over this particular area a few times, and you can see it coming up with every pass I do. So it took about 4 or 5 passes over that area to actually get that up because it was quite stuck on, but it did a really good job. So overall, I think this is a really fantastic vacuum mop to get, especially if mopping is one of those tedious tasks for you and you don't necessarily do it on a regular basis because of that. This makes it really easy. So I did find that it did a fantastic job vacuuming both tiles and hardwood floors. It was really easy to set up and use, and it's really easy to take apart and clean out all the parts as well. The self-cleaning mode in particular really helps this because it does a majority of the cleaning for you, and you just kind of have to wipe down everything. And as I said, it makes mopping a really easy task to do on a regular basis. It's something that I find I don't do very often because I find it quite tedious, and this makes me do it more frequently. Now, it is a bit of a higher price point at $799 Australian dollars, but I do think that if it's something you're going to use on a regular basis, that's going to be really beneficial for you. I also found that it didn't easily get up all the stuck-on marks on the floor. It did do a really good job in general, but you did have to go over it a few times to really get those stuck-on marks, and I did find there were a couple that I did actually have to sort of get in there with a scraper to try and get the extra bits off. Another con is that it doesn't easily fit under furniture. You can certainly get under a portion of it, but if you've got
a lot of furniture that you want to make sure you're keeping vacuumed and mopped, this probably isn't going to easily get under there, and you're going to have to lift up that furniture if you want to get in there. One thing I found beneficial to do for me personally, because there was quite a lot of dog fur on the ground when I went to vacuum, is I actually used a large broom and I just did a very quick sweep around to get up the majority of that dog fur and vacuumed that up, and then I went over with the vac mop. So it just meant that it was a bit cleaner for me to use. I didn't have to worry about too much dirt when cleaning out the machine, and it did a better job because it wasn't picking up as much fur and dust and dirt. I also found that it did a fairly good job at reaching towards the edges of the floor where the floor meets the baseboard, but because the brush roller head doesn't go all the way to the edge, it didn't get quite in there as much as I would have liked. But generally, I found it did a good job, and as I said, because I used the sort of brush beforehand to sweep up everything, that sort of eliminates that problem for me. So all in all, I would certainly recommend this vacuum mop if you want to be able to reduce your time cleaning and get your floors really clean nice and easily and on a regular basis. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and you might also be interested in my review of the BISSELL Proheat Revolution 2 carpet washer, which I will link here for you.